Moray is blessed with a diverse and beautiful landscape, ranging from golden beaches to ancient woodlands to stunning mountains, which are major attractions for people to come to Moray to live, work and enjoy. It is important to encourage people to come to Moray to support the local economy and help Moray thrive. In order to achieve this goal, there needs to be the provision of enough high quality housing to meet the variety of needs of Moray's population. A balance has to be struck between providing a range of housing options and maintaining and respecting Moray's high quality landscape. Within certain areas of Moray, particularly around the larger settlements, there have been high levels of house building in the open countryside, which is putting significant pressure on the landscape character of these areas. Council officers have identified these areas where the build-up of housing is most prevalent as hotspots. During a recent review of Moray's rural groupings, it became apparent that the hotspots were becoming suburbanised due to the effects of the cumulative build-up of housing in these areas. A landscape report was commissioned to assess the landscape and visual impacts associated with the build-up of housing in the hotspots.
In many of the identified hotspots, landscape and visual capacity for additional new housing has been exceeded. In some areas, the landscape has changed so much it can no longer be deemed to be of high quality. In certain hotspots, new houses are now so numerous and prominent they have imposed a suburban character on the countryside, with the few traditional older houses now a minor feature.
The reason why this is happening is down to the current local development plan having a permissive housing in the countryside policy. This essentially means that it is relatively easy to build a house in the countryside within a short commute of the larger settlements, such as Elgin, Forres and Buckie. This is an attractive option for many people, and it is this growth pattern that has created the hotspots. Currently, there are more houses being built in the open countryside than the total number of houses in some of Moray's medium and smaller settlements combined. This is not a sustainable form of development and undermines the growth strategy for Moray, which aims to guide development towards settlements. In order to try and address this issue, the new policy approach will consist of one rural housing policy. The policy seeks to address the excessive build-up of housing on the edge of settlements, as well as promoting a higher standard of rural house design. To achieve this, the three key elements of the policy are as follows. Firstly, the new policy seeks to restrict opportunities for new rural housing in identified hotspots where the landscape is under the most pressure. Secondly, while development will be restricted in pressurised areas, new development opportunities will be identified in the form of new rural groupings and sites within existing groupings. Thirdly, the new design and siting criteria will encourage a higher standard of rural house design. A site will only be acceptable where there is an appropriate backdrop and enclosure, ensuring that it is not visually prominent. The new design criteria proposes a reduction in the scale of the buildings and that traditional materials and proportions are used that would normally be associated with traditional rural housing, such as slate roofs. The policy does not seek to completely halt the development of housing in rural areas, as it is recognised that people want to live in the countryside. However, it is about ensuring that it is in the right place and is well designed to promote a more sustainable pattern of growth in the countryside. There are some fantastic examples of rural housing in Moray that use traditional materials, and the policy seeks to promote the highest standard of rural housing across the region.